paper magic will survive like the heat death of the universe, and will...
Oh, it's a smuggler's copter. Would you like to crew this? And then it crashes because they don't understand arithmetic.
All your cards belong to me.
2 minutes into macing him in the eyeballs, I switched to pepper spray. He's like, yeah, it's downright refreshing. And went back to the mace.
Magic is dying. I'm done. Selling everything.
I might be a hoarder. And
I don't have the crayons or glue to explain this to you right now.
What, are you gonna die twice?
Oil will be worthless before magic cards will.
Well, okay, Dr. Man.
That's Mr. Dr. Professor Jason.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Brainstorm Brewery. It's a very special episode. I'm Corbin. I'm joined, as always, by Jason and DJ. But you know what? We're not what makes this episode special. This episode is special because we have with us a guest of much renown. For those of you who don't know, we're joined by Logan, Seraph6 Online, as Sheldon Minery calls him, the tech support for the stars. Did I get that right?
No, you didn't.
You had 4 words to get, and you scored a 75%, which is a C. So
C's passing.
Tech support to the stars.
All right, we were close enough.
Well,
Anyways,
DJ was off by 25% on the number of words in that sentence, so I guess you guys also.
No, tech support's 1 word now.
Oh.
Tech
Anyways,
support? That's a new thing.
Logan, welcome on the show. We're glad to have you here. For those who who are part of our Discord, which of course are patrons who went to patreon.com/bsbr, Logan helped us set up a lot of the Discord because we are not what you would call technical geniuses. And Logan is also behind pretty much any Twitch Commander stream you'll have watched recently. So we're thrilled to have you on. How's life?
Pretty good. I mean, like my normal day job is just like whatever. But then I have the fun after hours doing all this kind of stuff. And it's
Are
much
you
more enjoyable.
suggesting that Magic players are more fun to interact with than boomers?
You know, I never really thought about it that way, but yeah, I mean, there's a couple like nuances between like Magic players and anybody that you work with that's not in IT that kind of like cross between the two. When you ask somebody, have you tried turning it off and on again? About the same as have you tried shuffling better or like.
Well,
You know?
it's funny you should bring that up because we had some tech problems of our own recently on this podcast. And, in the end, what solved 2 weeks of Jason's life
was Corbin forgetting to read anybody's email for 7 years.
It was turning it off and back on again, just for the
That's
record.
a deflecting palm from Jason.
Well, anyways, we're very thankful that you can manage to put up with people like us long enough to help us out because it's really neat the service you provide the community to actually make sure that all of these cool content streams and content creators can reach the people they want to reach thanks to your work in the
And he
background.
won't let us give him money, so we had to subscribe to his Patreon to give him money.
Yeah. That's the only reason that I'm not a BSB patron right now is because y'all are already giving me money to help you, and it's kind of like
that would
here
just
you
be
go.
both of us.
You.
That would just be both of us being a Patreon of Patreon. Like that's
Giving them double fees is the best.
Yeah.
What do you say we get together and give Patreon some money?
That only benefits
no reason.
Patreon and the U.S. government getting taxed off of every transaction.
I
Would
do
you guys hear
find
Patreon said they were no longer supporting white guys who had podcasts, which was the worst understanding their audience since OnlyFans said no nudity.
Well, I mean, Logan, there is a bit of a disconnect for me in terms of like us trying to pay you what you deserve for your services versus you wearing an Orzhov shirt and you not taking money. Like that's like,
Yeah.
are you really a true Orzhov unless you just extort everybody?
Or just like it's not about taking in the money right now. It's about racking
acquiring
up
the debt. No, okay,
Yeah.
I see the plan.
That's
so-
the long game. The long game.
You know, yeah, it's kind of like, well, yeah, don't worry about it. I'm just helping you out. And then it's like, hey, remember that time that
The fine print.
Although,
like-
if you did take the money that we give you for your Patreon and put it towards our Patreon, we wouldn't just have a circle jerk of paying each other. You would have access to our Discord.
It's true.
Yeah, he's an admin in our
You
Discord.
mean the
You would
Discord?
have
I'm an admin.
non-admin Discord access. You could have access to the tokens, these handsome drinking glasses. You could have all the perks of a membership.
I did,
of the Brainstorm Brewery Patreon, but no.
So I went to the BSB party that was Magic Fest Indie 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you were
And-
there?
Yeah, I was there.
That was before I knew you.
Yeah, I live an hour from Indy, so I
Okay.
was down there
Just
for the
crashing
night.
our party. There you go.
Yeah, I won one of the BSB flasks.
Oh, very nice.
Ooh.
Yeah,
We would love, for those who don't know, because somehow people do still find this podcast. It's not just people who've been listening forever, but in 2019, we did an event at GP Indy. We rented a room right across from inside the convention center, right across from the convention with Magic's going on, and we gave away all kinds of free stuff. Shout out to Wizards of the Coast, donated some stuff for us to give away to people. We turned it into a big event. Shout out to Channel Fireball for working with us on that
Former
one.
Brainstorm Brewery sponsors, Channel Fireball.
Yeah, well, it was a
Not a sweatshop. Do not employ any sweatshop labor whatsoever.
Thank you, Jason. That's good. That's
That's-
important legally that you say that.
That's some
Yeah.
big, like, don't ask about the human trafficking on my shirt energy.
Yeah,
Like,
she was like, we're getting a lot of questions about us having a sweatshop that are answered by my Jason Ald saying that we don't have a sweatshop.
t-shirt.
All right. Well, let's before we move on, we're going to talk a little bit about Innistrad here. Now, we're going to be covering this over the next few weeks, I'm sure. But as the previews start to roll out, is there anything that stands out to you all? We big Rin and Seven fans? You big fans of
There's
the
a
werewolves?
scary ass SCP monster from the that's just staring at us from a cornfield. Some true
What is you said?
folk horror.
SCP?
If you don't know SCP, then I don't know what to. It's something very online people will be aware of. Someone made a whole website of these pretend monsters and the protocols for containing them.
Yeah, so Corbin, if
okay.
you think of just any sort of creepy, it's a Pokédex of creepypastas, basically.
Yeah,
I do
basically.
like creepypastas.
It's
But
a
it's
Pokédex
this
of
is it
creepypastas.
looks like a chair made out of human nipples, and if two people don't look at the thing at all times, it gets out of the room it's in, and it'll bite your nipples off and make the chair bigger. And it's just all stupid shit like that. That if you're 15, you're like, whoa! But when you're an adult, you're like, why am I reading this at 3 a.m.? I have to be up and feed a child in the morning. I have a life. But when you're 15, you're like, oh, this is so rad.
Okay.
My favorite is that there's one that's just an object that sits in a room and does nothing. I don't remember what it is, but it's not an Eldritch Horror thing at all. It's this SCP is a bouncy ball that never stops bouncing.
And some of them, you really want them to be real. It's this is a drink dispenser that dispenses your favorite drink. You don't tell it anything. You drink it. It's your favorite flavor, and nothing will ever taste as good again for the rest of your life. And it breaks you as a person. You're like, what the fuck?
I'm okay with that. Means I've
It's
always
like
got
the-
something to drink.
You're
I mean,
right,
that exists.
I knew
That
nothing about
exists.
this. You're right about that.
That's the mint chocolate chip ice cream flavor of Pop-Tart that was discontinued in 2003.
Well, I can vouch personally that if you write emails to Kellogg's and tell them that your favorite Pop-Tart was the mint chocolate chip icebox one or whatever, they will lay off more people in Battle Creek and open another plant in Mexico. So, because everyone down there is paid $3.50 an hour. So, if you just write enough letters, they will cut more American jobs. But still tell people they're headquartered in Battle Creek, and then just get rid of one more line where they were making a small amount of cereal. They're down to just Rice Krispies and unemployment. That's all they produce in Battle Creek now. So if you keep, I'm just saying that I write them an email every year. Is like, when are you going to put marshmallows back in the Rice Krispies and make the marshmallow Rice Krispies cereal that you discontinued in 1989? They're like, we got your letter, and your dad is being laid off. So that's a thing that happens. So keep writing those letters.
That's just cause and effect, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just cause and effect.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
stop
the only
writing the
reason
letters.
that they did that. That's the only reason they opened a plant in a third world country. For sure. It was my insistence that they add the marshmallows back to the marshmallow Rice Krispies. And I don't want to hear someone like, they have it. That's Rice Krispie treat cereal. That's different. That's garbage. That is garbage that just makes a film on the roof of your mouth that stays there all day no matter what you do.
You've got some real feelings here.
I have opinions about Kellogg's cereal specifically. Did you know my brother invented a cereal and nobody believes him? Can you imagine anything a better gift for an older brother than an insane true story that only you can verify that you refuse to verify? Okay, so my brother pitched them a cereal called Pigs in Mud, which was chocolate cereal that gets all chocolatey, right? You know how chocolate cereal turns the milk brown? He's like, the marshmallows are little pink pigs. And when you put the milk in there, it turns all muddy, and then they get the pig marshmallows. It's Pigs in Mud cereal.
That's pretty good.
They went with Timon and Pumbaa Disney cereal with little Timon and Pumbaa marshmallows, and then they're all muddy. It was a Timon and Pumbaa cereal. It was his idea. They gave him no money. They gave him no credit. But he went to school, and on the bus, he was like, "They made my cereal." My dad brought him home a box. He's like, "Look, they did your Pigs in Mud idea." And he was telling kids on the bus, he's like, "I came up with the idea. It was Pigs in Mud. It was very similar. I pitched it to Kellogg's, and they made the cereal." And everyone on the bus is like, "Nah." My brother is like, "Ask my brother." I was like, "That's bullshit. He's lying." And it was the best day of my whole life.
And
anything else?
No,
I mean,
what do you mean anything else? That's the
like. Okay, no, Corbin. So like, I'm the licensed TM psychologist on this podcast. We've deduced Logan's Orzhovness. We've gotten Jason's Rakdosness now. So all that's left is you and me, but don't worry about it. So
okay.
Don't worry about it.
DJ's
That's Demir
Orzhov,
talking right
Logan's
there.
Orzhov, I'm Rakdos. Corbin is Hufflepuff. We did it. We figured it out.
Yeah, there's only 9 guilds on Ravnica. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
I'm more of a Strixhaven kind of color pair.
One of those. Yeah.
On the topic of fan favorite planes, how about the Innistrad? I'm very good at
It was a
words.
bad transition to something I don't want to
I'm like a silver quill. I'm just good at words.
I really like Lisa. I thought she was dead,
Yeah, I heard that.
but she's there. So she's gonna be the new commander for my White Black Angel deck that has the other Lisa as the commander right now.
Oh, that's a nice throwback. Was that from like what set was the original Lisa from?
Commander Legends.
Commander Legends.
Okay,
A nice
there you go.
throwback to less than a year ago.
1 year ago.
Which feels like forever because 45 sets have come out. And
Yeah,
that's
I guess
why
so.
I cannot... you know what? I used up my last on AFR, a set that did not deserve it.
Oh, Lisa's
I'm out.
I know. What
I'm
this card is.
completely tapped out. I do not care. We're gonna do a set review for this, and it's just gonna be me just sobbing because I can't. It's too much, you know. And I say this all the time. Go back a year ago. Listen to what we were saying on the podcast, where people were like, "Yeah, I don't like products that aren't for me," and we're like, "Just don't buy products that aren't for you." They're not taking anything away from you. They're just giving more stuff. But guess what? I'm a content creator. Everything is for me. So while a player can opt out and be like, I'll buy 3 singles from this set, someone that, you know, buys sealed product and sells singles right when the set comes out, someone that has to create content for weeks for every set, and someone who has a bunch of EDH decks to update, and then as soon as you're done updating them, there's another set that's out. Someone who does all that, I'm just burnt out. It's too much. And I hate to complain about it, especially because I like made fun of that notion before, but on top of the pandemic, just this relentless onslaught of it always being spoiler season. It's just too much. I'm completely burnt out on it, and I'm sure I'm not alone in that. And I'm not just complaining to complain. It's mentally taxing to me. It's impacted my ability to live my life because of just the stress surrounding it. I'm sure that's all pandemic and like 5% magic, but this is a magic podcast, and that's what I'm going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Stop it. Settle down.
Yeah, but did you hear about that new secret layer drop?
Yeah, and I'm gonna buy them. Of course, I'm gonna buy them. Am I gonna buy a photo of this set? Yes.
Yep.
I bought AFR, and there aren't even any good cards in AFR. I went to the LGS and I spent $300 on like just those D&D PHB looking cards. Like I was like, give me all of your Terramorphic Expanses, a card I do not play. I'm gonna spend a lot of money on this set, and I'm not gonna like it. I will complain the whole time.
I don't know how to interact with the Magic set without Jason complaining about it. So at least we're in familiar territory here.
I do think that from a design perspective, this set is very, very good.
I think
this is the only plane we've hit 3 times if you don't count Dominaria, and I am impressed that they continue to keep the theme the same Innistrad that everybody loved, and also just like fix problems the old Innistrad had, which weren't a lot, but they existed, and they fixed them. Like
especially by modern standards, yeah.
The werewolf transforminess is much better. Day and night is
it's much better if they had done it in the first place. It is worse because they basically stranded all of the flip cards.
I mean,
maybe they'll errata them.
They won't, but
Laro
like it's
said
fine.
He tried and they didn't do it.
That's fine.
It's actually
like,
not fine.
It is.
Your moon mist doesn't work.
That's I don't care. So what?
I mean,
your moon mist. So what?
I'm saying they should have done this.
Are you mad that like the werewolf from Alliances doesn't synergize with like Moon Mist either? Like there's
that's the same thing. Lycanthrope from Ice Age doesn't work. So yeah, get out of here. Innistrad doesn't work with Innistrad. Yeah. That's a problem.
I mean, look, a couple things. One, I want to clarify. Moon Mist, even these creatures that say transform werewolves, you can't transform them with Moon Mist.
No,
the new werewolves do not.
Moon Mist.
The new werewolves do not transform with Moon Mist because they are based on solely the day night mechanic, and they are bound to the day and night time cycle of that mini game.
So Moon Mist does not make it night.
Wait, so Moon Mist still works with your old werewolves though, right?
Yeah, I mean I think it's a pretty like.
Are you not playing any old werewolves in your deck?
I'm not gonna make a werewolf deck because I'm not a fucking nerd, DJ. The point is, it's a bad design.
It's not a bad design. It's better to update the design and make it better as a mechanic so that they can revisit it a 4th time, rather than like just entrench themselves to a bad mechanic and reprint the bad mechanic over and over just for synergy, just for like the compatibility sake.
The old cards.
Or you were out of the old cards. Look, I think you both have valid points. It is very disappointing to anybody who had a.
You both have valid. Get out.
Well, look, it's true that anybody who has.
There's 3 of us. You need to cast the tie-breaking vote, man.
There's 4 of us.
I'll let you know. I'll let you know where I land on it here.
There's 4.
Anybody who had a werewolf deck before is going to be disappointed because you can't put these in. And conversely, anyone who wants to make a werewolf deck with these new ones is sad that your Moon Mist doesn't work, or that the previous that you just don't have those synergies. But Magic has 30 years of cards. At some point, you just got to cut your losses, because if you try to be too backwards compatible, you end up, So imagine, they're in Wizards, right? And I've got this really cool day-night mechanic. It's great. Everything about this plays awesome. It fits this Innistrad, what allows us to do this transform stuff on more than just werewolves. It's really this cool mechanic. However, it's going to break some old cards if we do it. Are you going to tell people like, hey, don't do that thing. Don't push the design and make it better because it might make old stuff worse.
No, you tell them
you got to move
people have
forward.
already forgotten about Kaldheim. We spent 2.5 years making Kaldheim down to like the exact runes being accurate to Viking shit, but we hired a Vikingologist and made all the runes accurate, and no one cared because they're like, oh, cool, Kaldheim. I guess I'll throw a Draugr Necromancer in my deck. Oh, where's the spoilers for the next set? Like, you just say, hey, do whatever, because if anyone's mad about this, they have 4 weeks to be mad until the spoilers for Crimson Vow start. So, like, just keep fucking people with product until like they don't have time to complain about it. So yeah, absolutely. Just do the mechanic, and if it's not perfect, it'll matter for a couple of weeks.
I'm excited about Innistrad and the new mechanic and the werewolf deck that I'm thinking about building, and the fact that we have Triskaidekaphile as a creature. We have Renin 7, which is just kind of ridiculous and it's silly. I'm all about this return to Innistrad. The mechanics are neat. The Decayed mechanic is fine. Flashback is great. Like Investigate is back. Sure. Like, this set's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be quite good, and I wish I hadn't blown my whole fuck budget for 2021 on the Dungeons and Dragons set for sure. If you told me I got one more set in me, I would have saved it for this or Crimson Vow probably.
And I'm excited. They've been doing remastered sets online. We're getting Innistrad remastered in paper, and given how they are now pushing set boosters even more, we found out recently the draft booster is getting ever more pushed back. So having this Innistrad double feature, which is cards from both Midnight Hunt and Crimson Vow that is made to be drafted in paper, is a nice sign, because
so they're old bordered foil Snapcaster and old border foil Lily, and
so
anything Innistrad from Legacy is going to be ridiculous expensive. Like I'm into that for sure.
So about the whole set booster thing, we've talked about this a little bit previously, where I mentioned a long time ago about how like the price of a booster pack had remained $3.99 since like Lorwyn or something like that. I'm not the Magic historian.
It's been a very long time.
And I just mentioned like in terms of supply, logistics, like in the actual physical process of like printing Magic cards, in terms of like a corporation producing a toy. Even just like pandemic adding on to that, like we would begin to see changes, whether that's decrease in product that you're receiving or increase in price, and set boosters are a result of that. Like, you are getting less unit per capital spent, but like they're just sort of like Jedi mind tricking it to make it seem like it's more value.
Yeah, set boosters and the economics of it all is interesting, and I do think that there's a lot of lack of awareness of inflation when people start talking about Magic. It's, you talk about the economy, people get it, but then as soon as you start talking to people about the value of their own cards, everyone applies whatever prices were in 2015 or 2017
right, like,
or
what was the price? Like, what was the price of gas in 2007?
$4.
Yeah, Bush was president.
I mean, it depends regionally, but like...
No, well, I mean, specifically 2007 was a great recession, and the gas was $4 a gallon. It was an actual nightmare. But if not very many years before that, it would have been much cheaper. But yeah, gas is actually one of the few things that's gone up and down like crazy. But just inflation has gone up.
I guess bread's like a better example, or like milk.
Yeah, well, the consumer inflation index is what the government uses, and inflation is double digits over like a 5-year period. It's something that cost you $4, and when Lorwyn came out, if that's what we're tracing back to, is at a minimum closer to $6 today. So yeah, I mean, I just think that's something people should keep in mind, and this is in no way a defense for any decision in particular. It's just something I think one of the nuances gets lost in these conversations a lot of time.
Yeah. Well, we saw like the price of what they called the fat pack, and then renamed the bundle because they added a promo and they added a big, large spin down die instead of the small one. That went up $10 for the same number of packs.
And
And now
took
with
out the book.
yeah,
And for Eldraine specifically, they tried to like make the box a collector, like a super fancy box. It was like sparkly and it had Rowan and woo.
They did that with
Yeah.
Cold Snap.
they did. That's where they started doing the gift bundle with Eldraine, and then there was one for Zendikar Rising and AFR as well. But with Midnight Hunt, they're changing it again. It's still going to be the same, like $40, but it's going to be 8 set boosters instead of 10 draft boosters.
Right. And they're trying to make it seem like that's a better value because you're getting because your booster pack tells a story. Your booster pack is an experience, even though the experience is a migraine when you're sorting.
And you could get a list card, and there's a guaranteed foil.
I will never, ever be able to listen to somebody use the word list as just a set. Like, you get a list card. Every time I hear that, it's just that one gif of, like, Ron Swanson dumping his computer into the trash. Like, I viscerally hate that term. Why is that why?
Dude, everybody's on fire tonight. This is great.
And it's a different list.
GIF, so
It's a different list with every set. Don't forget about that.
Yeah. I mean, and the other thing that I'll mention while we're on the topic is the prices have been increasing over the years. You just haven't seen it. The prices have been increasing to the distributors. They've been increasing to the LGS. That stuff's just steadily been going up. And you may or may not have seen that yourself, as there tends to be a real sticky price point for boxes at $100.
Oh yeah, it's the Costco hot dog all over again.
Yeah, exactly.
only Wizards is not yelling at a Wizards employer; they're yelling at the LGS to figure it out of their fucking.
That's exactly right. All right, well, let's move on to something that we know pays the bills. We know that you can actually turn into dual lands, as one of our listeners did. It's time for Breaking Bulk.
Breaking Bulk time. Breaking Bulk time. Break.
Oh, yeah, Breaking Bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking Bulk. The end.
Yeah, so for those who are unaware, this is the part of the podcast where we pick attributes of cards that you may have passed over, you may have just not even read them. You could put them in your commander decks. These are cards that you might just be interested in reading or selling or doing whatever with. You shouldn't leave them in your bulk comments though. And so I have a blue Ice Age enchantment that is worth more than $0. I've been picking a ton of Ice Age is the new Ice Age is the new Lorwyn. Hang on. We're gonna cut out so I can actually know the rarity.
Jason, what's an Ice Age?
What's an Ice Age? It's a set from 1996.
Shit.
Is it Snowfall?
No.
Ooh, is it Ice
All
Fall?
right, so I have an Ice Age blue uncommon enchantment. This card has been reprinted once. It is a card that I sell on buy lists, and it's just something that I don't think anybody's ever read.
Where was it reprinted? This matters.
This is a lot of information. 5th edition.
Is it Binding Grasp?
Nope.
Information's not helpful to me at all.
Wow. That would have been a
Corbin can't guess these unless you tell him, like, it's an Adventures of the Forgotten Realm card that costs 2 blue and 1 colorless. It's got 3 power and 2 toughness. Like,
Island Sanctuary.
No,
Island Sanctuary is white from Alpha. Stop! You're embarrassing both of us.
I said Island.
Yeah, I just looked up the card.
I said Island. It was blue.
I like this card.
Was it the same rarity both times?
I don't know.
No,
it was common in 5th edition.
Right.
Iceberg?
It is Soul Barrier.
No one knows what that is.
I know what Soul Barrier is. It's when they take damage when they play creature unless they pay mana.
Yep. Whenever target opponent successfully casts a summon spell, deal 2 damage to him or her, that player may pay 2 mana to prevent the damage. It's like 40 cents. It is not anything backbreaking. It's no Mystic Remora. It's no Rhystic Study. But I mean, like, Ice Age Bulk is the new Lorwyn. I will say that. And that sounds weird because Ice Age came 10 years before Lorwyn, and Lorwyn has a million $10 uncommons in it. But, like, when I pick through Ice Age Bulk now, there are more picks than not picks. Like, there are more cards in that set that have jumped either because of A, reserve list, or B, just newfound interest in, like, people actually reading the cards, or nostalgia, or trying them out for Commander.
There's no snow stuff with
Dude, I
Kaldheim.
don't.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't 100% know about that. Ice Age Bulk is really. You got reserved list stuff that's like every rare in Ice Age is at least $3, and that's cool. And then you have uncommons like Mystic Remora and Demonic Consultation and Dance of the Dead. But then you have like really solid played forever, just solid one printing cards like Orcish Lumberjack that are just like dog shit forever. Like Orcish Lumberjack never got above 50 cents. Tinderwall never got above 50 cents.
Yeah.
You know? Burnt Offering never got above 50 cents. So like some of the stuff like you like really good super duper playable cards like Portent, you know, just really never got there. So like Ice Age Bulk is just maybe there are more picks than not picks if you're picking nickels, but like
Well, no, there's like Thermokarst, Ice Age.
yeah,
like
Pale Bears went to $3 and stuff like that. Like I get it. And a lot of Ice Age got
Sunstone.
like a lot of Ice Age got printed in 5th edition. So like yeah, if you can get Ice Age Bulk, like there's all kind of crap like you'll randomly find, you know, something that never got reprinted, but anything that did get reprinted is complete trash. It sucks. You're like, oh shit, Fiery Justice. Fiery Justice is an amazing card, and that was playable when it got reprinted in Lorwyn. It's just like, oh, Fiery Justice
I don't know, man.
is
Like
literally 5
I find a
cents.
lot of jeweled amulets and Zurin orbs. Like,
Well, Jeweled Amulet is a rare, and we picked it, or it's an uncommon. We picked it for that was a pick of the week 2 years ago, because of what was that format where you got the commander and then you got a spell?
Oh,
Did I pick that for
Oathbreaker?
Tiny Leaders, or did I pick that for
Oathbreaker.
Yeah, I picked it for Oathbreaker. So like, yeah, Jeweled Amulet, like that's a surprise to some people, but like
it's still $3 though. Like, it's the same price as it was when it spiked 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It seems like there's there's
guess.
there's some highs and some lows there. So Jason,
But then you find something like Diabolic Vision that you expect to be money, and it's not. Like Ice Age Bulk.
But you should
have
still
to
pick
look it up
those.
because
Like, you should still pick all the Tinder Walls. You should still pick, because like
Wow.
soon they're gonna be worth money. Like eventually Tinder Wall is gonna go to $5, and you want to have a brick of 200.
I have a brick of 200. And
Right, and keep picking them.
In the meantime, I'm keeping those cards in a finite amount of basement space. So there are costs, but yeah, you know what? I was lucky enough to like just buy the contents of an LGS that just
I mean, you said you
bought
pick
real
every
heavy
non-basic land ever.
yeah. Yeah, because they pop up on buy lists and then you're just like, oh, these are 7 cents. All right, take them all.
Right, and I'm doing the same with like most Ice Age uncommons.
yep,
Yeah.
that seems fair. Jason, what do you got this week?
I got a card with 2 printings. The first one was Future Sight. The second one is, as DJ would say, too much information. So I'll give it to you if you guys are desperate for it. It is a green common from Future Sight.
Is it a sapling thing?
It is not a creature.
Rapid Vigor.
That's disappointing.
It's from Conspiracy.
Yeah, I kind of thought that I would get you guys with this one. Rapid Vigor from Future Sight and Conspiracy is over $1. 2 printings. It's a card. Regenerate each creature you control.
It's a pauper card.
Yeah.
It's a pauper sideboard card that you play in elves, then you make their pyroclasm very sad.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It's a counterclasm for sure. Yeah. But
All right,
Pick these, I
I'm going
guess.
to come in here with a more recent set that also has a reprinting. I have a Kaladesh Black Uncommon that was reprinted in Double Masters.
It's the the modern card, Daredevil something.
Yeah, Overall Chase Daredevil. Look at that team. We crushed it this week.
No, we didn't. You're
Okay.
supposed to be stumped.
Oh,
Mine was unguessable.
true.
I mean,
True.
I was still guessing, and then you blurted
DJ
it
picked a
out,
40
so,
cent.
yeah.
DJ picked a 40-cent-year-old
You
card
can-
from a 20-year-old, 5-year-old set.
But I would have gotten to it eventually because I was still guessing. But you know what? Yeah, unguessable.
Anyways, Kaladesh had Overall Chase Daredevil combos and all the food decks in Modern, and it's over $1. So it's if you have any Double Masters bulk, it's one to keep an eye out for sure.
Interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
All right, well, let's move on to our main topic tonight. Logan, let's chat a little bit about briefly what it is you do, because we talked about how basically you are you've saved our hides a couple times when it comes to getting some of this stuff working. But how did you fall into sort of this niche of in the community, and what is it you do in the community that people don't know about that keeps the content flowing?
Yeah, so I guess like I've always been into gaming and stuff. I really got into like online gaming in high school. I grew up with like internet. I was on dial-up until like 2008, 2011.
Rough.
Yeah. Technically, we were like on like the 4G modem from 2008
Sure.
to 2011, but then I moved out, bought a house, got big boy internet, and I was able to actually do things. But it was sort of like a combination of I had already gotten myself acclimated with online communities early, even with crappy internet and trying to load GIFs on a forum like PHPB, just terrible. You just kind of like let it go and look at something else while the tab floats. But I had gotten into it kind of all started with getting into both the StarCraft Pro stuff, like StarCraft 2 Pro scene, and watching that like nonstop. Well, it was all on Twitch. And then I had also started playing like Destiny back in the day on Xbox, through Xbox One. And I started watching those streamers and then getting involved with that stuff in the communities. I started modding for some of the people that I watched on Twitch. And it sort of just evolved into, I met some guys from the StarCraft scene that streamed, like commentators and stuff. They were doing everything on their own. I'm like, hey, I could help mod some stuff or like run your Discord. Because I'm like, I adopted it early on and knew how to handle it. Because I'm a system admin as a career path, and it's community admin is not much different. You're doing the same kind of services for your end users or whatever you want to call them. So I had been doing that for a while just as fun. Over time, I kind of got to know more and more of the folks from the StarCraft scene and getting involved with them. But with Magic, it wasn't until about 2018 that I started like interacting with more people on on Twitter. I followed the cosplay scene because a friend had introduced me to Christine's cosplay in the past, and so I just followed a whole bunch of them, and I saw Olivia was streaming Commander, and I'm like, I hadn't seen, I saw some people stream Commander prior to her, but she was doing it in more like a kitchen table setting versus like big flashy graphics, and I'm like,
right,
well, this is interesting. So I'm watching her and her friends play, and it's like, I could make this better. There's like maybe 20, 30 people watching at the time, and I'm like, hey, if you would like, I could help you set this up to look better and function better and make it easier for you. And like, if you're interested, let me know. And she's like, oh, okay. Like, don't really know you very well, but we just did a chat one night. And from then it was just like, all right, I set up all these things for you, a new Twitch bot, a Discord channel, and everything. And she's like, holy shit, what? Like, yeah, this is easy. She's like, okay, well, let's see how it works. And it, we kept streaming, and people started showing up more and more and more and more. And then before you know it, she's on the track to Twitch partnership, and we're like, she had a couple things that bumped that up a little bit, like going on game nights and the LRR pre-release. But every time that she'd do something like that or have a preview card, we just see this bump in viewership. Like you can see it on the graph as you go. And we've just sort of created this little fun, I always call it like the LGS experience, where the Twitch stream is like the table that everybody's standing around watching, and there's interaction between the people that are playing and the people that are watching, rather than just putting on a show. It's, people watching friends play.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons that this took off so much during the pandemic, right? Is it it kind of, scratches that itch just to have some human interaction, even if it just feels like hanging out with your friends, in a way that, people were looking for at the time. So it's been, just on a larger level, it's been really cool to see Commander web play blow up, including our own Brainstorm Brewery streams on Wednesday night, where Jason has been hosting some awesome guest members of the community, and we jam some games.
So for me, computers are magic boxes that sell magic cards. And like I wanted to have a custom built computer, and anytime I told somebody I wanted to have a custom built computer, they'd be like, "Oh, it's easy. It's just like Legos, man." And I'm like, "Yeah, but they're Legos that if I put something together wrong, then I'm out $300." So I was always I was like, I don't want to, nope, not touching it. And I just paid a local friend to put it together. And I was like, "You're a wizard." But you've done that for like, how many community members here?
Yeah. So 2019, I went to Gen Con, and it was the first time I finally got to meet Olivia in person. And the first person she introduced me to was Sheldon Menery. And within 30 minutes of him and I chatting, he hands me his card and he's like, "We're going to talk," because we were talking tech stuff. And so I got to be like right there with him through the new website launch, the like setting up all the CAG stuff, and then it was on my shoulders to create the Discord server for the Commander RC, like the official one. So like that was a lot of pressure. I was like, I hope I don't mess anything up, but they trusted me to do it right. So
not bad for your side gig night, right?
Yeah. So that had kind of like grown kind of slowly at first. We had a couple hundred people within the first couple months of, it was April, May 2020 that we launched it. Right about the same time that we launched the Commander RC Twitch channel. So it was, this whole thing was mounting up to like, okay, they made the CAG, they got the new website. I built Sheldon. Sheldon was the first one to ask me to pick out a computer, and I was like, all these options suck. Can I just build you one? I'm like, I don't want to do you wrong, and I want to make sure it's good. So he was the first one that had me build one, and I built it so that they could stream. So we've got the whole stream thing ready. We got the community ready for everything. So like the day that everything went live, it was live. They had a Patreon set up as well for like, it's money that goes to cover the operating costs, and then the rest is like saved for future events to help people get to events, like cosplayers that are only paid in product and not actually paid for their flights or anything to carry all that stuff anywhere. So there's this whole big like mounting thing of getting that done. And so since I built Sheldon one and it caught a lot of traction, I had several other people that were like, "Hey, could you do that for me?" And so some of the early ones were like, Shivam had me build one. Proxy Guy had me pick out parts for a build. He did it on his own. I was like, I could probably just build it and drive it up to you because he lives like an hour and a half from me, but he likes to get his hands on things. But ALK Alters had me do one. And then
You're just the computer part fairy, man.
Yeah. So it just kind of like kept going, and I kept getting more and more people asking. By the time the end of last year came around and we started getting into this whole like logistics nightmare of chip shortages and, crypto rising and not being able to get graphics cards or CPUs anywhere, I ended up having like a list of people. So I had this queue, and it was like, all right, I know I need these parts for these different ones. And as soon as I can get this card, I'm building this one for you. And they're like, I'm fine waiting. Like, I want you to build it. I don't want to just go get it somewhere else. So I've also done them for Scott Larrabee. I don't know if he's even set his up yet. It's been delivered.
See, this is just a neat little, peek behind the curtain of the Magic community here, right? Like a lot of listeners are, you see the Commander Herald or the Commander Herald stream, I hope, but the Commander Rules Committee stream, see Olivia's stream, see the BSB stream, and a lot of people don't realize that there is somebody in the background making it all work. We've come a long way from, as a streamer, you set all this stuff up on your own, and you have to be a tech expert and all this stuff. And now we live in a world where, we're essentially to a point where even live streams, like something like Magic, because I basically have a live producer is the kind of stuff that you do. So it's just an interesting evolution.
It's definitely one of those things where, as I see new or upcoming content creators start to do their things, even if it's not on a stream, if they're doing it on Twitch or they're doing it on YouTube, like I have worked with the professor on a couple of things. I built him a computer, I built his wife a computer, and I helped him figure out some things that streamline some of his work so that it's not cumbersome for him. So even having somebody that's telling you, hey, you might want to do it this way, you should do it this way, it's going to save you time, it's going to save you energy. People getting into content creation need to realize that they can rely on people like that. As long as there's some kind of mutual, whether it's money or it's like favors or things, there's
the Orzhov accept many types of payment.
Barter. I've always been a fan of barter. Barter is one of my favorite things. Like, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. It doesn't have to be money.
Souls, Planeswalker Sparks, just Nico Bolas deck builder over here. Just I'll take anything.
Yeah.
You want Eternal Youth. You want just sign this contract over here.
It's my favorite flavor text pertaining to Bolas is, all I ask for is complete obedience.
Well, that's great. So do you get to actually play any Magic, or are you Commander player, Modern player? What is your preferred way to play when you're not just making it so everyone else can play Magic?
Yeah, I got back into Magic because of Commander, like in 2012. So
there you go.
It was the only experiences I really had were like playing Onslaught era standard decks in a table of 6 to 8 people.
Yeah, sure.
For one game, right? Like that. Okay.
The classic,
like
Magic
one
experience,
big massive multiplayer game of 6 to 8 people attacking across an 8 to 10 foot table.
How did people even play multiplayer Magic before Commander?
I don't know.
It's crazy.
It was the worst, but it was also the best. And so I had like fond memories of doing that with my friends. I never bought cards back then. I kind of gravitated away towards like console gaming, PC gaming. And then as I was been hanging out with a newer group of friends, and they were all sitting around the table playing Commander. And I'm like, oh man, Magic. I used to play that a little bit. So they handed me a deck and I started playing, and I'm like, all right, end of turn. I've got 1 mana floating, so I'll take 1 damage. And they're like, no, we don't do that anymore. And I'm like, what?
That damage goes on the stack.
And so it was like, realizing all these quality of life changes happened over the course of time, and I'm like, this is cool, and the commander's really neat. I can build like theme decks, and I love telling stories and building decks that tell stories like that. And so it was sort of that kind of turned into playing at my LGS, into getting connected online. And so I had been playing on Olivia's stream online as my normal source of playing for the past several years.
We stole you from Ellie's stream today. She aggressively tweeted the BSB account. She's like, well, Logan was stolen from me by BSB, and I was like, we have a Gonti player and a Valky player. What do you expect?
Well, yeah, and I had a Silumgar deck at one point, so I'm right there with you.
There you go.
That's not very Orzhov.
Not very Orzhov of you. Well, I mean, Demir is just secret Orzhov anyway.
That's true.
But yeah, it was getting to play on Olivia's stream because I had moved across the state, so I'm 2 hours from my normal LGS. The one here, they're good. There's just not a huge commander following. Not like my hometown where all I got to do is say, hey, I'm going to be there 4 o'clock, and then like 10 people show up to play commander. So big difference in like the demographic between the two areas. So online has become my new LGS, and playing with Olivia has gotten me to play on several different streams, or just even offline playing with friends. So
that's pretty cool. That's a neat story, especially given times now, where a lot of us don't have LGS experiences available to us for a variety of reasons. So that's neat.
Yeah. And there's like, because of the number of times I'm playing on a given week, it's usually at least once or twice a week on Olivia's stream, usually like Fridays and Sundays for her. And then also on top of that, was usually playing on Jeremy Knowles' stream once a week. So, you put in 2 games, 3 streams per, you end up playing 6 games. And so I have 21 commander decks because I go through my whole rotation of commander decks in like 2 weeks.
I guess so. That's nice. You've got a whole other people who are trying to find ways to play Magic. You've got plenty of streams to play on. That's great. All right, well let's move on. The final thing we want to do this week before we close out is, of course, cover our picks of the week.
Pick of the week, pick of the week, pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
All right, I'm going to jump in first.
Is that what we wanted to cover?
Yeah.
We're not going to read any emails.
No.
People write to us. They're like, hey, what if I write in to the podcast and I put in the email what Patreon level I am?
6 years from now, we'll read it.
patreon.com/BSB. We'll read it. But you know what? We don't. We're liars. We're the worst. And I don't blame you for not writing us any more emails.
We'll read it. It won't look. Those emails aren't going to come from the vault on their own, okay? Someone's got to put them in the vault. Anyways, you can bust this one out of the vault. It's Diagraph Colossus from Shadows over Innistrad. The card is $6. It's gone from about 5 to 6 over the past month. This is a pretty clear zombie lord type card. We've got a new Champion of the Parish zombie style in Innistrad. I think that you're going to continue to see zombie support, even though it wasn't entirely clear. We knew Innistrad would have zombies, but we didn't know if there'd be a tribal aspect to it, given that, it was about werewolves and then the vampires. But definitely looks like there's enough tribal zombie support. Diagraph Colossus is on its way to $10, I think.
So, my pick is not related to Innistrad at all.
Boo!
It is related to a couple of cards I've mentioned on this podcast previously, and one that Jason sort of mentioned a week or two ago, Retether. This is a card from Urza's block that I didn't know existed until I started picking bulk stuff. I picked it, and then it's like worth nothing, and it's going right next to my stack of Academy Researchers, which is a 2-mana 3 mana 2/2 that plays an aura for free when you play it. This is
That was Urza's Urzamire Flask.
Yes, and this one's actually
Academy Research is the blue 3 mana 2/2.
Yes, and this is actually from the same set, which is why I'm surprised I didn't know it existed. Iridescent Drake is 1 more mana to give it flying, but it brings an aura back.
It was in the same precon with Sigil of Sleep, and it had a couple of the unblockable guy. Yeah, that was a whole blue-white auras precon.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had no idea this card existed, but it's very, very cheap. And I am sort of just waiting for them to print some really, really big dumb aura. Sort of on the level of Eldrazi Conscription. Maybe I know Phyrexia has sort of been harbinged the past few weeks. Don't know if that's a word, but I'm throwing it in there, harbinged.
Well, I think they think people want it to be like, oh, well, +20/+20 didn't do anything. What if we gave a creature +40/+40? It's like, shit, dude, I will take +3/+3 and an effect on hit over +40/+40.
Right, but yeah, I don't know what that effect will be. Maybe it's like when this creature deals damage, do a bunch of stuff, and give it haste. I don't know. I'm waiting for them to print some 10 or 12 mana aura that does something really dumb so that a stack of Academy Researchers and Iridescent Drakes go to the moon. And
to the moon!
This is a card that costs you nothing. You don't need to go out and buy bricks of it. It's just, if you're picking cards, I would set this one aside just in case.
Yeah, Retether was one of the ones that I always look at when I've got a Bruna blue-white Aura Voltron deck. And if not for the fact that she brings the auras back herself anyway, it would be in the deck.
Yep.
Just 100%.
Or like some weird enchantment that you can like swap your opponents. Like, I don't know. Like some weird like plague-esque enchantment that you just
there could definitely be those kinds of cards exist. I mean, all of these cards that you pick with waiting on some crazy enchantment or something to break it, I'm always a fan of those because the upside is just so high compared to very little downside.
Yeah, I mean, like I picked Retether at 10 cents like 8 years ago and just held the brick of them until now.
Yeah,
you are so smart.
All right, Jason, let's hear how smart you are, buddy. What's your pick?
I'm Douglas Johnson. I'm called Prescient I Am. Altar of the Brood.
Okay.
Gotta imagine there's going to be a ton of token production. The fact that we haven't seen every card in the set, but we have seen there's a mechanic called Decayed, which means that your zombie tokens are transient.
How is this card never got reprinted?
Yeah,
I clicked it assuming it had been reprinted, and it has. Like, I thought this was like this went down to $1 and it will go back a 5 pick.
Nope.
If it continues to not get reprinted, this will go to 10. You're right.
And it'll go to 30 for the Ugin's Fate promo.
I was going to say, it actually has got 2 printings.
That's not a reprint.
But not a reprint per se, I agree.
Yeah, this card's Nutter Butters, and I think the fact that they are putting a dies at the end of turn restriction on tokens means that the cards that create these tokens will be more efficient, which
they
will
die
make
on attack.
Your altar better.
They do die on attack.
Okay. So they...
Sure.
So the fact that they have a restriction like that means the token generators will be more efficient, which means they will trigger the altar more readily.
Mm-hmm.
And at like a $5 buy-in, you cannot miss on a card that don't seem inclined to reprint because it'll ruin every format they printed in.
If this does get reprinted, you buy them all at like $1 or $2. Because this is like a Parallel Lives, like Conjurer's Closet.
Hey,
like
you said to buy it $5. I'm like, cool. Now that it's $1, buy enough copies that your average price is $1.25 and thank me when they're $5 again.
Yeah, exactly.
This is how you save money while building 21 Commander decks.
Seriously, if you have 5 Commander decks, buy 2 copies of every card that you think you will have one of. If you have 10 decks, buy 4 copies. If you have 20 Commander decks, buy 8 copies of every card you buy for a deck. That's what I think. If
that's
you got
one way to have a lot of decks.
Money, you got 8 copies of. You're speculating. You're speculating by accident. But if you want it, you're not a genius. You don't understand the format of Commander better than everybody, right? Like,
listener,
there's no card that you want that nobody else wants. Chances are, if you want it because it works well with a new Commander, everyone else is going to want it. you're going to wish you'd bought a bunch of copies because, hey, that card you bought is free if the price doubles. If you have other copies too.
That math somewhat checks out, and it is, look, that's a good way to turn 21 commander decks into 84 commander decks, 88 commander decks, whatever.
Do you know
lot
what
of commander
21
decks.
times 4 is? It's not 88.
88's
Corbin's just a real big fan of that number.
Just
We
real
can't
big
leave-
the
fan
year
of
I was
number
born.
88.
The year I was born.
Yeah, that's why.
Isn't that what the DeLorean has to do?
Yeah, when you get to 88 commander decks, you're going to see some serious shit.
Okay, there you go. All right. Well, thank you for the picks of the week, Logan. Thank you again for coming on. Where can people find you across the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at Seraph_6. It's a lot easier if you just go to links.sector6.net. We got links to everything.
All right, there you go. Well,
So are you open for PC commissions? How big is your queue right now?
My computer queue is actually like just at 1 right now. Surprisingly. I am probably going to be building one for Alex Kessler pretty soon. Just depends on where I can find a graphics card.
that is the that's
You'll
the
find
battle
them
these days.
at a crypto mine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and yep. All right. Well, thank you again for coming on. Thank you everyone for listening. Thank you to our sponsor, MTG Stocks, the best place to go to find all the prices and trends for everything we've talked about here tonight. Reminder, you can go to BCW, use the Brainstorm code if you want to get any of those supplies. That'll help us out. It'll definitely help you out. Or you can go to originalmagicart.store, use that Brew Crew code if you want to pick up any art for the Magic lovers in your life. So everybody, thank you once again so much for listening. This is Brainstorm Brewery. We'll see you next week.